wants to play, and Drew Tate doesn't know that. The game's going to end on this play. He fires downfield. It's caught, and into the end zone. Goes to the end zone, lobs it to the far corner. Upset eye, Ross throws a block for Sargent. He's got to crawl over that goal line. Hurdles in for a touchdown, Iowa.
What's up, Iowa fans? How are we doing? What a great week to jumping into Kinnick Stadium. It's going to be a ton of fun. Excited to welcome Washington into Big Ten country with their first true test of Big Ten life on the road. They went to Rutgers. It's not going to be quite the same as it is in Kinnick, although Rutgers is pretty solid this year. Really pumped to do this. Really pumped to be a part of it. Wanted to let you know just about this group of podcasts that we're in and all this stuff going on. So this is the Iowa fan perspective, a part of the Play the Fight Song family. Play the Fight Song is a weekly college football show we put together, usually on Wednesday nights, and then out on podcasts everywhere you get that. You can watch back on YouTube, watch live on X, YouTube, Facebook, all kinds of good stuff there. We do appreciate you following along here. Check us out on that side if you haven't seen the full college football show. We cover all the things college football, from the bottom of the barrel, the G5, all the way to the top of the mountain in the Power Four. It's been a ton of fun. It's been an incredible season, and we're absolutely pumped to be part of this and to bring content for you. My name is JP. I'll bring you the Iowa side of things, and we'll do weekly previews and recaps of everything. So if you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If this is your first time, please show us some love there in the comments, on the like button, subscribe button. It's a ton of fun. We enjoy everything we're doing here. And it's college football, and it's the Iowa Hawkeyes, so it can't get too much better than that. Today, we are here to preview the Washington game coming up this Saturday in Kinnick Stadium. Fox Big Noon kickoff, 11 a.m. Should be a ton of fun. Should be a real fall atmosphere inside Kinnick for this one. Pumped to be a part of it. I'll be there in Kinnick this Saturday, and I'm pumped to talk about it here with you today. Before we get going any further, I do want to give a shout out to our partners over at No Rivals, shopnorivals.com. They've got Iowa in the collection. As you can see, a hat they sent me here. Hawkeyes on the front, a little bit of a script, Go Hawks, No Rivals logo on the side. They sent me another one. It looks awesome. There's plenty of different styles that you can jump into. So hat for anybody, hat for any style, any person. Check those guys out. On checkout, use code PTFS. You'll be able to get free shipping with that. And I'm telling you, these hats are going to go quick once you get into November and December. People are start buying Christmas gifts and all that kind of stuff. Get on top of it now so these hats don't sell out, because I've seen them sell out of some Iowa ones. So check those out now. ShopNoRivals.com. Code PTFS. Getting ahead of myself. I'm so excited. Code PTFS at checkout will get you free shipping for one of these bad boys. Thanks to them. Again, I'm getting excited. I'm too excited to talk about this football game and tell you all about No Rivals. Have a good experience with No Rivals. Use PTFS at checkout, and you'll be on your way. All right, now that we fumbled through 16 or 17 words through that, let's jump into the preview. I'm very excited to do this. First, let's kind of touch about the Ohio State game last week. I previewed that one on another episode of the Iowa Fan Perspective and kind of told you what I expected. We gave them a better first half than I expected. Score kind of ended up right where I thought it might. To be honest with you, Cade was good in the first half, struggled in the second half when he had to make throws and had to make plays under pressure. The offensive line felt like it got eaten up a ton. If it was drop back situation, there was real possibility they were in the backfield. JT Maluau, and those guys really gave the Iowa offensive line some problems. Flip it to the Iowa side, the defensive line gave zero pressure to Howard and that team. They were able to run the football really well. We weren't able to close gaps. They were on the second level onto Jackson and Higgins quite a bit. So that the defensive line is not something that really held up there. You could tell we were a little outclassed in the athlete that was running around that field on Saturday. So and when the opportunity's there, you got to make up for it, like the interception that they threw, some good field position spots and some real opportunities to put yourself on the board in that game. And we just didn't. So you got to brush that one to the side. It's one we expected to be an L all year long. Now you still have an opportunity to get back on the right track, go right towards that 10-2 record we were hoping for in the preseason. At least I predicted in the preseason. And there's a real opportunity to do it this weekend against a good team who's coming off a really good win. So let's dive into Washington. Last week, a win over a very high ranked, I'm not sure why they were ranked this high, Michigan team. And they did it at home, and they did it on their own accord. They kind of handled the game. They weren't turning the football over. Michigan was running some quarterback issues with Orgy, then went to Tuttle. And Michigan, again, like continues to be really rough and one-sided on the offensive side of things. If all you can do is run the ball, like I hope you can do it pretty well. And they did all right with that. But they were not able to get anything going through the air, which is where Washington's seeing some holes open up and seem to be a little more vulnerable. Washington played into that, let them run the ball as much as they wanted. Opportune stops, opportune scoring drives out of the Huskies really put them in a good spot to win that game and get themselves a really big one. Now they've got to flip a script, come over to Iowa, and play a team that's pretty similar. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of think that Iowa gives them more fits because I think there's more there scheme-wise and athlete-wise in some spots than what Michigan has going on right now. And so it's going to be a really tough task for Washington to come in here and play good football. And it's a really big task for Iowa to, bounce back, come home and play a team who's coming off a good win and has shown to be able to handle these situations. So it's going to be a ton of fun, and I'm super excited for it. About Washington, this is Jedd Fisch's first year. If you remember Jedd Fisch, he was at Arizona the last couple of years, really built that program up back to a spot where they're really happy with it. With the change with DeBoer going to Alabama, Jedd Fisch gets the call. He's called up to Seattle. Now he's the Huskies' main guy. Kind of funny how that works. Now none of them are in the same conference. You had Jedd Fisch coaching against DeBoer last year in the Pac-12. DeBoer leaves, goes to the SEC instead of staying in the Pac-12 with Washington. Washington moves to the Big Ten. Now Jedd Fisch is a Big Ten guy. Just the craziest stuff in modern college football. It's kind of where everything is. Quarterback there, though, is Will Rogers. Will Rogers was at Mississippi State for a couple of years, committed to DeBoer in Washington before DeBoer left. Jedd Fisch was able to keep that commitment, and he's been really good for him. Like, let's be completely honest with it. 73% completion percentage right now, 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. That 1 interception coming last week against Michigan. This kid can sling it. He played in the air raid with Mike Leach at Mississippi State. Things kind of went haywire last year, if you remember, at Mississippi State in that whole debacle of the head coaching hire, and he ended up hitting the portal and landed at Washington. So what he is going to do is he's going to be able to hit the big plays. He's going to be able to be really good at the football and smart, as you can see in his numbers with 12 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's going to hit the medium once. He's a very accurate thrower and quarterback. It runs a really good system for them. He's not a real run threat. I mean, he's going to sit in the pocket, and if he's clean, he's going to give you problems. There's an opportunity, I think, for Iowa to get after that offensive line and dial some things up to get him off schedule and get him out of the pocket, where I think he struggles a lot more than if he's sitting clean and tidy and able to read a defense and take what's given to him. Another thing kind of to go with that, and I had this in my notes later, but I kind of want to talk about it now. The Washington offense is predicated on 0 to 9 to 10 yard passes, right? This isn't a team that's going to continuously, and I have some stats that kind of debunk that a little bit, but it's truthful in what they're doing. The vast majority of his passes are between 0 and 9 yards, which is what Iowa likes to do. So it kind of makes you think like either we're going to give the 0 to 9 up this whole time and expect him to go 75, 60 or whatever amount of yards each time they have the football to score, or Iowa's going to have to dial up some pressure and get him off kilter and really make sure that he's not able to just dink and dunk the whole way down the field, because Rodgers has shown the ability to do that, and he will do that. It's one of those things that he's very talented at. Going to the receiver core, I think this receiver core has kind of a couple tiers, but it's ball spread out pretty well without really one star, but there's multiple guys who I think could be a real threat with Iowa secondary and what they're dealing with right now and giving up bigger plays. Washington, I believe, ranks, let's check this right now. Washington ranks, I got to find this, second in the Big Ten in pass plays of 10 plus yards and leads the conference in plays of 30 plus yards through the air. So there are some opportunities there for the defense, Iowa's defense, to get better and really slow those down and make sure that doesn't happen again this week. Receiver core, Denzel Boston and Giles Jackson, those two guys I put in tier 1 for these guys. They're about 37 or 35 receptions apiece, both over right around 500 yards, 8 touchdowns for Boston and 2 for Jackson. These two guys have made a lot of plays for Washington and very clearly the leading receivers and the main weapons that they want to use in this thing. So that's something for Jamari Harris as well as Deshaun Lee to be better with, is really lock these guys down and being sure that nothing gets over the top. And if we can live with the 0 to 9 yards and Phil Parker can find a way to get some pressure, I feel really comfortable with that. Tier 2 will be Jeremiah Hunter. He's got 19 receptions. And then their tight end, Kaliki Latu, who's got 20 receptions. These are two guys who kind of seem like they're not the big play threats, but they're great check down options and seem to be reliable in that asset, that they both have about 20 receptions on the year. Again, it's going to come down to Boston and Jackson are the two better receivers on the outside for this offense. And I like our matchup at corner. I just want to make sure the safeties are ready to help out with these 3 and 4th options and then making sure we're not beat over the top. Big part of this offense, and I think the best player on this team overall is Jonah Coleman. He came over from Arizona with Jed Fish, actually. The guy's had 601 yards on 6.7 yards a carry and 5 touchdowns. He's been very good for them. He's been a very good back. He was really good at Arizona. He's been reliable here at Washington. He's made some big plays. He's able to get 4 or 5 yards in those really tough holes to get to and make something out of nothing. And he's been, I think, above what we expected when he got there because understanding what the scheme was and how everything was played at Arizona, what made him really good. Now in a kind of a more of a pro set in some ways, he's been just as good, if not a little bit better. So that is something to pay attention to on the Washington side of things. Keep going that direction. They're going to stay very balanced. Like Will Rogers is going to have his ability to hit play action and then a couple short throws to make a play there. He's going to have the ability to sit back, read a defense, and go down to his 3rd or 4th option. They're going to run the football plenty. This isn't a team, I don't think, that's going to be way predicated on the pass or way predicated on the run. They're going to find a way to balance things out to keep you honest on that side of the football. Again, most of Rodgers' completions are 0 to 9 yards. And I just want to see what Phil Parker's got for that. Like, let's be ready to roll and make sure if that's what he wants to give, which traditionally is what Iowa wants to give, that doesn't open double moves to get beat deep later, or it doesn't it doesn't slow the game down so much where it limits Iowa's possessions on the other side and Washington finds their way into a couple 75-plus yard touchdown drives just by giving those up one by one by one. Something really cool that I did notice, though, is like in some of these games where the quarterbacks start to get really willing to just take that take that hitch, just, dink and dunk and work their way down the field. Iowa's DBs generally through the years have been very good at finding a really good time to try and jump those. It's making sure that timing's correct, right? Like you don't want to get beat over the top from somebody and you don't want to be guessing too early and giving that option up. And now the guy knows, we have to read this a little bit better. Jamari Harris had a couple this year that are really good. And just in history, Iowa's been very good at finding a good time to jump those. DeJean last year, a couple years in a row. And honestly, Sebastian Castro as well. Like there are real opportunities for Iowa to find some turnovers here. But Rodgers has been really good with football with the only 1 interception, as I was saying. Defensively, it's been a good defense for Washington. They haven't really been challenged truly. If you go look at their, I think the best offense they played is Wazoo, held them pretty low. But that's a Washington State attack who's got John Mateer, who's been very good for them at the quarterback position, but is way better with his legs and just running around making crazy plays than they are in a set offense. And Washington kind of handled him. It wasn't the greatest weather, if I remember right, in Seattle that day. But it is a team that gave a little bit of Washington some problems and also one of their losses on the year. Michigan, again, very similar to Iowa and what they're doing right now, was able to run 37 times for 174 yards, 4.7 yards a carry. So not a bad clip at all. But they were not able to keep Washington honest through the air at all. And if Cade can hit open throws and just make sure things, the easy ones, right? The check downs, the guys over the middle for 5-6 yards, the tight ends on the seam for 10. Those ones get hit like it was in the first half of that Ohio State game. There's a real opportunity here for Iowa to run for over 200 yards. I think we match up better along the offensive line with their defensive line than we have, especially last week. And so there's a real opportunity for Caleb Johnson to get back on the right track here. Now, there are things defensively for them. They've been really good against the pass and the deep threat. It's just been the intermediate stuff. And so, like, I understand we don't have a true deep threat here and a real guy that's going to stretch the field and really make Cade hit some open guys. But I don't think it needs to come down to that. So it's not that big of a worry for me, honestly. Ranked 13th in scoring defense in the Big Ten is Washington, but 11th in the Big Ten in rush defense, like I was just touching on. There's a real opportunity here for Iowa to get back on the right track, run the football, and just in general. I do think that when you look at what Iowa is going to do offensively, and I think Tim Lester really likes this matchup in some spots. I think he feels they can expose the Washington linebacker core. They don't have a poor pass rush. I think they have 3 or 4 guys with 2 sacks or more. The ability for Iowa to do what Iowa does best and win those battles I think is what Lester's excited for. So if we can get in play action, hit some guys over the middle, if we can run the football really well, if we can get to 5 yards a clip on the ground or more, I'm feeling really good about this offense and what they're going to do on Saturday. So it's been a ton of fun, just kind of reading into the different matchups that we'll see Saturday and what Washington can do to complicate things for Iowa and what Iowa can do to complicate things for Washington. And I think it'll be a great matchup. As outlined in the line, Iowa now favored by 2.5. I believe it opened at a pick'em. Line moved a little bit. Over under currently at 40.5. I mean, pretty Iowa line. Like they're playing at home, short favorite, small over under. It's kind of perfect Big Ten game, and Washington fits that mold really well right now. The Washington of last year definitely would not fit the Big Ten mold, but they do fit the Big Ten mold this year in everything they're doing. Let's jump into the prediction. I have Iowa 23, Washington 14. I think we find a way to sustain the running game, and Cade stays within that and makes open throws and continues to improve on his first half last week. Washington doesn't get as much pressure on Iowa. Iowa feels better with the run game, vice versa. Washington might get theirs early, a real drive to settle in. Washington goes down, scores early, and Phil Parker makes some adjustments, and it's not many more scoring drives after that. Additionally, if we can get pressure, and it like something we haven't done, we need to get pressure on the quarterback. We were not able to do it last week. This is the week to go do it. If you can get him off kilter and moving around the pocket and out of the pocket, there's real chance that he could start turning the ball over a little bit more and giving Iowa the football and some chances. So that's why I like Washington's total a little lower. I'll go 14 there. This number still goes under at a total of 37, but this is where I'm confident. I think Iowa has enough drives to get in field goal range, but maybe not enough to make those touchdowns. That's another conversation if that happens, but that's what I'm comfortable with. I appreciate you guys jumping in and listening to this. It's been a ton of fun researching this game. Again, follow us on all social medias at Play the Fight Pod. That's on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, all these different places. We'll bring you weekly content for college football, including Iowa, Iowa State, Nebraska fan perspectives. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here. It's been an absolute blast. Go Hawks.